Breaking news on CBS Sports HQ. The new college football AP Top 25 poll is out after an action-packed week 3 of the season. Some teams moved up big time while others dropped. Despite wins and bye weeks in week 3 has brought us a new #1 as we get you a look at the latest top 10 teams right now. After dominating UTSA 56-7, though, Texas Longhorns do in fact jump Georgia, who despite their win against Kentucky still struggled and had a rocky performance. So Longhorns with now a road win against a top 25 team in week 2 against Michigan. A dominant performance in week 3. Georgia struggles against a unranked team. Longhorns gained some ground. They're #1 for the first time in 16 years. As we get you a look, 11 through 20, Utah stays put at #12, setting us up for a top 15 matchup at #14, Oklahoma State next week. That'll be a good one. Notre Dame moves up 1 spot to #17. Michigan falls a spot to #18. Sooners stay at #15, so we'll have #6 Tennessee versus #15 Oklahoma in prime time this week. And a look at the rest of the teams that round out the new AP Top 25 poll. You see Illinois sneaking in there. We're going to dissect it all for you as we welcome you into CBS Sports HQ. I am Jordan Giorgio alongside Logan Ryan. We have Douzable with you. Also joining us from afar is Brad Crawford. Guys, let's start with just some initial instant reactions to the new poll. Logan, I'll start with you.
I'm starting at the top.
Yeah, let's do it.
Texas, man. I've been singing their praises. You know, as a former player, what better sign is it when you lose a quarterback and your backup quarterback comes in and you don't lose a step? Having Arch Manning sitting there in that situation now, no, I don't think any other college has that luxury of having 2 guys playing at that level. I think it showed you the strength of Texas and how good they are, the depth they have, the amount of players that they have. So Texas #1, I've been asking for because of Quinn Ewers, but him leaving the game, it's just further proof of how strong they are as a team.
Yeah, a lot of people have said Texas is the best overall team in college football. And I think that proved to be true this past Saturday. Like you talked about, you bring your backup in and the offense doesn't lose a step at all. Isaiah Bond, everybody still gets involved in the offense. I want to look at the back half of the AP poll because I have some gripes about the bottom.
You have a bone to pick.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at Texas A&M, yes, they went into the swamp and won, but that's not a good Florida team. Right? I don't think they deserve to be back in the top 25. And the Illinois, they really haven't played anybody this year. I think it's disrespectful not to put a Memphis team that, yes, I know Florida State has not won a game, but a team that only lost 3 games last year that brings mostly everybody back, has a prolific offense. I think the Memphis Tigers should be in the top 25. And I think you'll see throughout the season they'll continue to win, and they will be in there. But I thought after their performance in Tallahassee, they should have been in there. And then even a team like UCF, who went on a road and had a gutsy win at TCU, they've been blowing everybody out. It was good to see them win a close, gritty game. You know this, Logan. As a team, when you continually beat everybody to a pulp, sometimes you start to feel yourself, right? They were down by 21 in the 3rd quarter and were able to mount a comeback. R.J. Harvey, if you don't know who this guy is, he is going to be in the Heisman race. Keep your eye on him because he is the focal point of this UCF offense. So I don't have a lot of gripes about most of the top 25, but I think at the bottom there should have been some other teams that were more deserving.
Yeah, I'm taking a closer look at Georgia moving from 1 to 2. I think it's more of an indictment on the Bulldogs than it is Texas looking good these first 3 weeks. I watched that game in Lexington last night, and Carson Beck does not have elite playmakers around him on that Georgia offense. We're not used to seeing that either. He has an injury right now to Tate Ratledge, a key offensive lineman. Kentucky did what it wanted to do up front against Georgia. There's some worry for me, Georgia as my preseason now championship pick. So Georgia sliding #2 in the AP poll. A little bit of a surprise, but there's some issues right now that I think Kirby Smart can correct. And this was the first true road game of the season for Georgia. And as Kirby mentioned Saturday night, every now and then those road games in the SEC can get a little tricky, and Georgia saw that happen in week 3.
All right, you guys, let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into things here. We'll start with #1, and that is Texas. Despite the injury to Quinn Ewers, it didn't seem to matter to the pollsters because they saw what we saw, and that was Arch Manning. So it's unclear right now how long Quinn Ewers will be out. But if he is out for more than 2 weeks. That means that we will see the future of this Longhorns program in Arch Manning have back-to-back games against Oklahoma and Georgia. Leger, I'll come to you first on this one. Where does your confidence lie with Arch Manning?
I think first and foremost, right, the Oklahoma game is at a, it's a rival game, right? It's a neutral site. So you feel a little bit comfortable knowing that he doesn't have to go into a hostile territory. And then even the Georgia game is at home in Texas, right? So I have a lot of confidence in Arch Manning. I think, Jordan, we've talked about this before. Programs that have developed quarterbacks have had success when it comes to the college football playoffs. So we, in a day and age where so many guys, they don't play, they just want to go into the portal and leave. Well, he sat behind Quinn Ewers last year, and you saw when it was his time to go shine, he was ready for that opportunity. So I believe, depending on how significant the injury is for Quinn Ewers, that Arch Manning will be ready to take the bull by the horns, literally the Longhorns, and take over this offense for Texas.
Brad, I want to come to you on this. I think it is a relevant question. You correct me if I'm wrong, but is this Texas team better with Arch Manning?
I believe it is, and I tweeted that last night, caught some reaction from it. But you saw what Arch did in basically 2.5 quarters last night, 5 touchdowns. He's been ready to assume this starting role for Texas for like 15 months now. He's played well. This is the most talented quarterback room in college football. Sark said it throughout the offseason that we believe we have 2 starters here. He didn't mince words that it's still Quinn Ewers' team, but Arch Manning, this offense has not changed with number 16 at quarterback, and he can move a little bit better than Ewers can on the run. So, look, I don't think Quinn Ewers' injury is going to be long-term. That Oklahoma game is still 5 weeks away, but they're probably going to take it light, let Arch Manning probably get double-digit touchdowns here over the next 2 or 3 starts, depending on when he comes back. And I think Texas, with Ewers at quarterback or with Arch Manning, is still the top team in the country, and deservedly so.
I love that you brought up his ability to run. His legs just add another level of athleticism. I don't know if you guys saw this, but his top speed yesterday was 20.7 miles per hour.
Moving.
Tyreek Hill's top speed in 2024 are all 20.3.
They are not the same.
Listen, they're not the same, but I'm just saying it's an interesting point. Mannings are not supposed to do this, Logan.
He got that from his granddaddy.
Yeah.
No question. Not from his uncle. None of that. No. I saw the double-up move, the way to shake and bake. That was the most impressive thing I saw. Look, I don't think any team's better when their starting quarterback or Heisman quarterback is out. However, they're fortunate to have him. And I think he's going to be able to spread the ball around. I think he's going to be able to, utilize his weapons. I think the defense will play well, play better. So I think these guys will rally around him because of the unique situation of not transferring, not hopping in that portal. I think the team's rooting for him.
Correct.
And I think it gets a Texas team that's playing well. They're not going to get lackadaisical because they have some adversity now. And Arch Manning's going to come, and I think people are going to rally behind him.
And we just saw the schedule. The blessing is most of those games are at home. And I talked about that as a young player getting your start for a team that is as big as Texas. It's always good to have that home faithful behind you, right? The Oklahoma game is a neutral site, and then look at it, Louisiana Monroe at home, Mississippi State at home. Then you get the number 2 team in the nation at home. So by then, Arch Manning will have felt comfortable in the offense, depending if Quinn Ewers cannot come back, depending how significant that injury is. But you talked about it. He's going to spread the football around, and I think Brad really alluded to it well. His athletic ability will change things up for Texas because now that's +1 on offense that you have to account for when you're facing this Texas offense. Because you said it, Jordan, 20.6 miles an hour?
Yeah.
He's picking them up, putting them down. Picking them up, putting them down. So you have to account for that speed on the outside.
Logan brought up the Heisman, something to note as well before we move on here. Arch Manning's Heisman odds after this week shot up to 7.
That's insane.
So he was a long shot to start the season, so we'll see how that plays out. Let's get to some of the new faces that we did see in the new AP Top 25 poll. Illinois making its way into the Top 25 rankings. They're 3-0 for the very first time since 2011. They've got a Top 25 win. Was this the right move, Brad?
I think it was. The schedule's been soft so far, but Brett Bielema's Illini have been strong up front, and that's usually the sign of a nationally ranked team. Illinois has looked the part early, but we're going to know in week 4 just how good Illinois is because they play another Big Ten unbeaten Nebraska. So very big game there. I'm looking forward to seeing Dylan Raiola against like I said, pretty good defensive front 7 for Illinois. I think we're going to be able to have some critical takeaways after that game is played.
I like the action there. Northern Illinois getting some shout-out, getting some love, you know, with the big upset and how they're playing. So I like anytime you kind of can shout out that underdog, that team. I like that, to put that in the bottom of the rankings. And then Dylan Raiola, we talk about Nebraska. I mean, they were impressive beating, you know, Prime and them in Colorado. And Colorado looks like they're not as bad as we thought, right?
Sure.
So they kind of earned some respect back. I think that's a sign of what Nebraska did to them, dismantled them up front, and Minnie Mahomes out there is making some plays. So I like that team. I want to see them get more into their schedule, but those two teams stand out to me.
Yeah, Illinois with Luke Altmaier, his issue has always been turning the football over. And to Brad's point, we'll learn a lot more about this Illinois Fighting Illini next week when they go and play Dylan Raiola, and he looks as good as advertised in regards to being a true freshman coming in with all the hype and delivering the goods, right? Being able to know where to go with the football. Off-platform throws. He kind of looks just like Mahomes, which is crazy to say because this kid's only 18 years old. But this Fighting Illini team, as Brad said, we'll learn a lot about them this week versus Nebraska.
All right, but Memphis getting robbed in Leger Juice's
Memphis should be in the top 25.
Yeah.
Put some respect on it.
We'll see what next week brings. Much more from us when we return. We're talking about Oklahoma and Tennessee. Both of these teams took care of business against their respective opponents in Week 3, setting us up for next Saturday's showdown against two undefeated SEC foes to be a good one. We're diving deep into that one next. Plus, what other Week 4 matchups do the guys want you to keep a very close eye on? They tell us next.